Police arrested 2 kids yesterday. One was drinking battery acid, the other was eating fireworks. They charged one and let the other one off. I was having dinner with Garry Kasparov, world chess champion, and there was a check tablecloth. It took him 2 hours to pass me the bloody salt. A group of chess enthusiasts checked into a hotel and were standing in the lobby discussing their recent tournament victories. After about an hour, the manager came out of the office and asked them to disperse. "But why?" they asked as they moved off. "Because," he said, "I can't stand chestnuts boasting in an open foyer. 2 hunters are out in the woods when one of them collapses. He doesn't seem to be breathing and his eyes are glazed. The other guy whips out his phone and calls the emergency services. He gasps, 'My friend is dead. What can I do?' The operator says, 'Calm down, I can help. First, let's make sure he's dead.' There is a silence, then a gunshot is heard. Back on the phone, the guy says, 'Okay, now what?' On an airline flight, the pilot comes over the public address system to greet the passengers. He tells them the altitude they'll be flying at, the expected arrival time, and a bit about the weather, and asks them to sit back, relax, and have a good flight. Then, forgetting to turn off the microphone, he says to his co-pilot, 'What would relax me right now is a cup of coffee and a blowjob.' All the passengers hear it. As a flight attendant immediately starts running toward the cockpit to tell the pilot about his slip-up, one of the passengers, an old lady, stops her and says, 'Don't forget the coffee. When I was a kid, I used to pray every night for a new bike. Then I realized that the Lord doesn't work that way, so I stole one and asked him to forgive me. My mate asked me, 'Bro, what's your most embarrassing moment?' I forgot to zip my trousers up, so the lady politely said, 'Sir, your garage is open.' So I zipped back up and asked, 'Did you see my Range Rover parked inside?' She said no, just one small Toyota with 2 flat tires. A guy is sitting at home when he hears a knock at the door. He opens the door and sees a snail on the porch. He picks up the snail and throws it as far as he can. 3 years later, there's a knock on the door. He opens it and sees the same snail. The snail says, 'What the hell was that all about?' 3 kids come to the kitchen and sit around the breakfast table. The mother asks the oldest boy what he'd like to eat. 'I'll have some fucking French toast,' he says. The mother is outraged at his language, spanks him, and sends him upstairs. She asks the middle child what he wants. 'Well, I guess that leaves more fucking French toast for me,' he says. She is livid, smacks him, and sends him away. Finally, she asks the youngest son what he wants for breakfast. 'I don't know,' he says meekly, 'but I definitely don't want any fucking French toast.' A woman gets on a bus with her baby. The bus driver says, 'Oh, that's the ugliest baby I've ever seen.' The woman walks to the rear of the bus and sits down, fuming. She says to a man next to her, 'The driver just insulted me.' The man says, 'You go up there and tell him off. Go on, I'll hold your monkey for you.' A man is walking down the street at 3 a.m. when he is stopped by the police. The police ask him where he is going at this hour, to which the man replies, 'I am heading to a lecture on alcohol abuse and the effects which it has on the human body, as well as smoking and staying out late.' The police then respond, 'Really? Who is giving that lecture at this time of night?' The man replies, 'That would be my bloody wife. Met a hot girl in the bar. She said if I give her $500, she'll show me a real good time. So I gave her $500. And the bloody bitch ran 100 meters in 12 seconds. What does an old woman have between her breast that a young woman doesn't? A bloody belly button. Little Johnny was in Bible study one morning. Sally was sleeping in front of Johnny. The teacher asked Sally who our Lord and Savior was. Little Johnny pokes her in the ass with a pin, and she yells, 'Jesus Christ!' and falls back to sleep. A little while later, the teacher asks Sally who created our world. Johnny poked her in the ass again with a pin, and she screams, 'My God!' and falls back to sleep. Later, the teacher asks Sally what Eve said to Adam after they had their 4th child. Johnny pokes her in the ass with the pin again, and Sally screams, 'If you stick that thing in me one more time, I'm gonna break it!' The teacher faints. I tried to ask out a hot girl yesterday, but she said she had a boyfriend. I said, I have a math test." She was a bit confused, so I said, "I thought we were naming things we could cheat on." "Yesterday, a hot girl asked me if I wanted to see a movie." She asked, "What would you like to see?" I said, "You pick." She said, "You pick." I said, "I don't care, you pick." She said, "Sir, just pick a bloody movie. There are other people waiting in line to buy tickets." So these two hot girls asked me to join them for a threesome. I said, "No thanks. If I wanted to disappoint two people at the same time, I would just talk to my bloody parents." Dave is at his doctor's office, about to have his prostate checked. The doctor says, "Okay, Steve, let's not get an erection again during the procedure." The man looks at the doctor confused and says, "My name isn't Steve, it's Dave." The doctor says, "Yeah, mate, I know. I'm Steve." Little Johnny's class was learning vocabulary in health class, thanks in large part to Johnny's use of obscene words. The teacher was going down the list, asking students to use the words in a sentence. "Rectum," she said, and Johnny eagerly waved his hand. But she had some experience with Johnny, so she called on Susie instead. The next word was defecate, and again, she thought it best not to call on Johnny despite his enthusiastically raised hand. Finally, she came to urinate, and figured Johnny couldn't do much harm with that one. Sure enough, he raised his hand, practically leaping out of his desk to make sure she saw him. "Okay, fine, Johnny," she said reluctantly. "Urinate," Johnny said. "Teacher, urinate. But if your boobs were bigger, you'd be a 9. Elon Musk messages a hot girl. I will send you pictures of my rocket. Lots of thrust. Gets up fast. Wink, wink." Girl responds, "Would be nice if it didn't bloody explode after 2 minutes." A man was driving down a deserted country road when he came across a farmer standing in the middle of a huge field of grass. The man stopped his car and asked the farmer, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" The farmer replied, "I'm trying to win a Nobel Prize." The man was puzzled and asked, "How do you plan on doing that?" The farmer answered, "Well, I heard they give the Nobel Prize to people who are outstanding in their field." The man couldn't help but burst out laughing at the farmer's clever joke. After composing himself, he said, "That's a good one, but isn't this field a bit too big for just one person?" The farmer grinned and said, "That's true. But don't worry, my wife and kids are outstanding in their fields too." The man drove away, still chuckling at the farmer's wit and thinking about how much funnier life would be if everyone had a sense of humor like that farmer. Little Johnny was doing his maths homework. He says out loud, 1 + 6, that son of a bitch is 7. 4 + 4, that son of a bitch is 8. His mom overhears this and is shocked. She says to him, "What are you doing, Johnny?" Johnny replies, "I'm just doing my maths homework." "And is this how your teacher taught you to do it?" the mother asks. "Yes," Johnny replies. The mother is now angry and immediately phones Johnny's teacher. "What on earth are you teaching my son in class?" she asks. The teacher replies, "Right now, we are learning mathematical addition." The mother asks, "And are you teaching them to say 1 + 6, that son of a bitch is 7? After the teacher stopped laughing hysterically, she answers, "What I taught them to say was 1 + 6, the sum of which is 7. Teacher, how far have you got with your homework, Johnny?" Little Johnny, "About 8 kilometers, miss. I went home with it and came back with it this morning." An officer observes a woman standing in the middle of the street. He approaches her and asks, "Are you okay?" The woman replies, "Yes, but how do I get to the hospital?" The officer says, "Just keep standing there. Yesterday I went to a party. I met a really hot girl and we immediately hit it off. After some time we began kissing in another room. She asked me, $20 for a blowjob?" I replied, "Sure, why not?" Should have seen my bloody face when she pulled out $20. Knock, knock. Who's there? Daisy! Daisy who? Daisy me rolling. Knock, knock. Who's there? Lettuce. Lettuce who? Lettuce in. It's cold out here. Knock, knock. Who's there? Cow says. Cow says who? No, silly. Cow says moo. Knock, knock. Who's there? Justin. Justin who? Justin, time for dinner. Knock, knock. Who's there? Boo! Boo! Hoo! Don't cry! It's just a joke! Knock, knock! Who's there? Olive! Olive who? Olive, you and I miss you! Why did the smartphone go to therapy? Because it had too many app issues. What do you call a Wi-Fi network in the jungle? A safari hotspot. Why did the computer catch a cold? It left its windows open all night. Why was the math book sad? It had too many problems. Why did the scarecrow win an award? Because he was outstanding in his field. Why did the banana go to the doctor? It wasn't peeling well. What do you call fake spaghetti? An impasta. Why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. Why did the bicycle fall over? Because it was too tired. What did the janitor say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies! Working in the mirror factory. It is differently something I can literally see myself doing. I'm always late for work, but I make up for it by always leaving early. I hired a handyman and gave him a list of jobs to do. Of the jobs on the list, he only completed numbers 1, 3, 5, and 7. Turns out he only does bloody odd jobs. Yo mama is so fucking stupid! When an intruder broke into her house, she ran downstairs, dialed 911 on the bloody microwave, and couldn't find the call button. Yo mama is so ugly when she tried to join an ugly contest, they said, "Sorry, no professionals." Yo mama's so fat that when she fell, no one was laughing. But the ground was cracking up. Yo mama is so fucking fat that not even bloody Dora can explore her fat ass. Yo mama's so fat and old when God said, "Let there be light," he asked your mother to move out of the bloody way. Yo mama is so fucking fat when she got on the scales. It said, "Fuck me." I need your weight, not your bloody phone number. Yo mama is so fat that when she went to the beach, a whale swam up and started singing to her. We are family even though you're fatter than me. Yo mama is so fat. I took a picture of her last Christmas, and it's bloody still printing. An old woman that was in her 80s decided that she's had enough of life and wanted to kill herself. She wanted it to be quick and painless. She decided she was going to shoot herself in the heart, so she calls her doctor and asks him, "Doc, where is the heart located in the body?" The doctor says, "It's about an inch below your left nipple." "Thanks, Doc." So she gets off the phone and shoots herself in the bloody knee. Your mama's so fucking fat. I had to install a bloody Olympic-sized swimming pool in the backyard. Just so the bitch here take a bloody bath.
Why is Mrs. Claus unsatisfied with Santa? He only comes once a year.
A boy says to a girl, "So, sex at my place?" "Yeah." "Okay, but I sleep in a bunk bed with my younger brother, and he thinks we're making sandwiches, so we have to have a code. Cheese means faster and tomato means harder, okay?" Later on, the girl is yelling, "Cheese, cheese, tomato, tomato." The younger brother says, "Stop making sandwiches. You're getting mayo all over my bed." Teacher, "What a strange pair of socks, Johnny. One of your socks is green and the other is red." Johnny, "Yes, miss, I know. It is very bloody strange. I have another pair at home exactly the same. A guy and his buddy are on the beach trying to pick up girls." The guy walks up and down the beach in his bathing suit and nothing. Nobody looks. He comes back to his friend, and the friend says, "Try a Speedo." So he walks up and down the beach in his Speedo. Nothing. The girls aren't reacting. So his buddy says, "Take this potato and shove it down your Speedo." And the guy does. He walks up and down the beach, and everyone is reacting. Hot girls, ugly girls, the surfers, lifeguards. Even the bloody old guy walking his dog. Everyone. The guy gets back and his buddy says, "You were supposed to stick it in the bloody front, not the back." What do wives and hurricanes have in common? On arrival, they're wet and wild. When they leave, they take the bloody house and car with them. A lady takes her husband to the doctor's office. The doctor does several tests and examinations on her husband. The doctor comes out of his office and tells the wife, "Lady, I don't like the look of your bloody husband." The wife said, "I don't either. But he's good to the children. What's the secret to a happy marriage? Find a woman who can cook and clean, a woman who's a bloody animal in bed, a woman with lots of money. But, most importantly, make sure these 3 women never, ever bloody meet." It was break time, and the doctors were sitting together. An English doctor bragged, "We are so clever that we transplanted a heart into a patient, and he was able to function properly in a few months." A German doctor replied, "That is nothing. Our country is so advanced that we were able to replace a man's backbone, and in a few weeks he is able to walk." A Russian doctor interrupted them. "My country is above of all of you. My patient needed a whole brain transplant, and in a few days he is able to walk and find a job." An American doctor came in and said, "We are the most clever people. We treated a man with no heart, no backbone, and no brains, and he became our president overnight. Donald Trump and Barack Obama ended up at the same barber shop." As they sat there, each being worked on by a different barber, not a word was spoken. The barbers were both afraid to start a conversation, for fear that it would turn nasty. As the barbers finished their shaves in silence, the one who had Trump in his chair reached for the aftershave. But Donald was quick to stop him, jokingly saying, "No thanks. My wife Melania will smell that and think I've been in a brothel." The second barber turned to Barack and said, "How about you, Mr. Obama?" Barack replied, "Go right ahead, my wife Michelle doesn't know what the inside of a brothel smells like. Picked up 2 hot girls on Valentine's Day. First time I ever had 2 hot girls at the same time. I bloody love driving for Uber." Little Johnny, "Hey, I bet you're still a virgin." Johnny's mate, "Yeah, I was a virgin until last night." Little Johnny, "As if." Johnny's mate, "Yeah, just ask your sister." Little Johnny, "But I don't have a sister." Johnny's mate, "You will in about 9 months, brother.